Welcome to the Defining Moments Black Men series of the Authentic Joe Show. I'd like to welcome my guest, T. David Benz. How are you today?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Happy Friday.
Yes, it is Friday when we're taping.
Yeah.
Yes. So, T. Dave, can you tell us a little about yourself, your occupation, your background, and how you would describe yourself?
I am a film and video editor. I've been editing for about 30 years since the early 90s. Um, I've probably done some of your favorite videos from the 90s. Probably done a few of them. And I am happily married with a beautiful 9-year-old daughter now that I've moved back to Miami. I was in LA for 2 decades and decided to come home and be closer to my family. And it's been a beautiful thing.
Awesome. And then how would you describe yourself?
Um, I, I, hmm, good question. I am a little bit introverted, but I like to observe, but I'm also socially active or whatever. So I like to be in the middle of things, and at the same time, I can observe. I can go to a bar and just people watch and let the and learn about people that way. So um, but yeah, I'm quiet, reserved, but fun guy too.
Gotcha. Okay. If you had to pick a phrase that would be the theme for your life, what would it be?
Um, phrase. No regrets. Everything happens
Mm,
for a reason. Yeah.
okay. No regrets. Everything happens for a reason. All right.
Hmm.
Thank you for that.
Good
Okay.
and bad. Yeah.
Good or bad?
Yeah. That's.
Okay. That's kind of what defining moments is about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's a great intro to what I was going to say. A defining moment is a point in life when a pivotal decision must be made or when an experience fundamentally changes a person. Which defining moment would you be willing to share with us today?
Um, I when I was in elementary school. Let me go back a little bit. I was born and grew up in New York until I was about 9 years old, and we moved to Miami. Um, Culturally, it was significantly different. My school experience up until that time in New York was probably pretty ordinary. Um, so I just kind of blended in, played the back, and uh, early on when I was in school in Miami with different people, different culture, I kind of just wanted to blend in. And teacher brought up the topic of boroughs. Like she was like, um, she was trying to explain what a borough was, that it was similar to a city, and then she asked the class, "Can you name a borough?" And they were like, uh, Opalaka or Carroll City or places that they knew in Miami. And she was like, "No, no." It was like, "Can anybody?" And she's looking at me like, neighbors. And I was like, "Well, uh, okay, Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a borough. Can you name another borough? Bronx. Yes, Bronx is a and it was a thing where she brought out in me, don't play the back when you know information. Don't be shy to the point where you lose out in something. And I because at the time New York schools were ahead of Miami schools, I was ahead with what they knew. So there was a lot of stuff that I knew, and it kind of compelled me to kind of be the smart guy at school. And so, which I carried up through high school. I graduated third in the class, and some of that was because I went to college for in at my senior year, but that actually brought my GPA down.
Mm,
So I came into 12th grade top of the class, and then I finished third with no regrets again. But from that initial, I think that was what spawned me to like and be motivated to be the smart guy in class. To be, if I got a 98 on a test, I'd be complaining about the 2 points.
All right.
And you know, teachers love that. You know, it was always a thing where, you know, it's knowing information that other people don't know has always kind of been a thing in the back of my head to make use for and be useful. And now my daughter is in school, and you know, she's getting straight A's, but I'm trying to manage her motivation so that she doesn't burn out too early, but still gets, when I saw the first time she got that, I like being the smart one, I was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's run with that. So, you know, her mom is like amazed how smart she is. You know, my boys were whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, we're doing something here. So yeah, it's in all aspects of my life. It's changed how I get things.
That is fantastic. Okay, so just one question that you were hesitant to answer, and then when she gave you that opportunity, it just changed the way that you approached life. I think that's fantastic. I mean, I wish people would think about that. How many times are we in the room and we don't speak up?
Right.
And like, so you were 9 when this happened.
Yeah.
Do you think that teacher asked that on purpose to help you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's funny because I don't even remember her name now. I don't like it at the time. I didn't understand the significance of what it was, but she looked at me like, "What's a borough?" like nobody else in here is going to answer that question. You're the only one who's capable of answering this question. So yeah, I knew, and there's something in that too. That sometimes you have to bring things out of people who don't know they have it in them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to switch lanes just a little bit because you mentioned your profession. So how did you get into editing? Didn't you go to school for that?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay.
I went to school for electrical engineering, and John Singleton was my roommate.
So you didn't tell us what college you went to.
I went to USC. I went to University.
Okay, so let's start. You were living in Miami. You graduated high school.
Yeah, and then
how did you decide to go to USC of all places?
So, one second. Actually, I wanted to go to MIT. I was a smart guy, so I got recruited like star football players, like lots of mailings. MIT's application form is like 30 pages or whatever. Filled them out. You need recommendations from teachers. Blah blah blah. Did the whole 9. April's coming around, May's coming around. I didn't hear back. I called MIT. I was like, so how's my thing going? And they were like, oh, we didn't get everything.
Oh my goodness.
And that was I had put all my eggs in that basket. And so it was like May, and it was like, where am I going? And I looked at what letters I still had, whatever, and one came in the mail on a whim, USC. I called them up. They were like, let me check your grades. Oh, you're accepted on the spot. So it was pretty whimsical. Yeah.
So if people don't, we're talking about the University of Southern California, the Trojans. Yeah. Okay. If you all don't know what we're talking about. So I just think I've never heard this story. So I think it's very interesting. Okay. And then you enter school, and then just this guy, John Singleton, was your roommate. You guys.
Yeah. So he pledged Kappa with one of my good friends.
Okay.
And we were kind of notorious on campus as freshmen. And
we, the Kappas, or we meaning you?
We Blackback. My Jan and that whole Jan, Busy, Rudy, Randy. Who am I forgetting?
Did you know any of them? So for I know a lot of the people who he's talking about, but
Yeah.
you all don't. But did you know any of them before you got to campus, or you just met them on campus?
Met him on campus.
Okay,
And
great.
we were
Okay.
kind of the, you know, the we didn't go along with everything. We didn't come from money the way a lot of people who
Yes.
went to SC came from money.
Mhm.
And you know, especially at that time, LA was not NWA. It was
There you go.
Pretty Boys and Pretty Girl, you know, the whole LA motif, and we didn't fit that, so we kind of bonded together.
Okay.
And when Randy pledged, there was probably animosity between the rest of us and the Kappas because we thought we were, you know, we didn't carry ourselves as freshmen, like
yes.
freshmen.
Okay.
We kind of, so he pledged, they would, the Kappas and the Sweethearts would come to our apartment afterwards and party, and Dean would be looking. And so, you know, we formed a relationship with everybody on Randy's line, including John Singleton and Jomo Hankerson, who is Aaliyah's cousin, who ran Black Brown Music. So when the next semester, I always, from moving to Miami from New York, I always preferred living in a house,
Mhm.
and as opposed to apartments. So I found a house off campus, and two of the guys, Jan and Rob, went in, and I needed one more. And John was around. I was like, "You want to go in?" And I showed him the spot. And he was like, "Yeah." And so John was the fourth roommate. And you know, back then, I had no idea that you could go in film and entertainment as a career. It didn't dawn on me that that was an option.
Gotcha.
And John was like, "I'm going to be a director." I was like, "That's cute. That's, you know, he wants to be Spike Lee. That's charming."
And at that time, Spike Lee was it. That's what we had.
That was all. There was nothing else. So
yes.
It was like I was like, that's nice. That's what he wants to be. Whatever. I didn't really take it serious. I helped him out on a couple of his student films on the beach and whatever. He had one of our good friends, Brian Bellamy, who helped show him the nuts and bolts of filmmaking. And you know, I was gripping. I didn't know when I didn't, you know, put a flag here and hold it and whatever. And then I transferred schools to Texas A&M, and was there a couple of years, and everybody was like, "Yo, John is about to blow up." Like, I was like, "John, really?" They were like, "Yo," and there was a GQ article that came out, and they were like, "Black Hollywood," and it was 3 people. It was Spike Lee, it was the Hudlin brothers, and it was John while he was still in college. And so I came out that summer, and they screened Boys in the Hood at USC, and I was like, "Oh my God!" It blew my mind that this guy that I know did this, a story that really hadn't been told before.
Yes.
And so, you know, and then we partied like rock stars that summer. We were in a limo when they premiered Boys in the Hood. We went to 3 theaters, passed out T-shirts, and I got turned out. I would go to parties and I would see friends sipping champagne. I hate my job. I was like, "Your job seems pretty cool." And so I was like, let me see if I can get in where I fit in.
Okay. So, and so then, that's a fantastic story. Probably one that needed to be told. So how did you start editing? So what happened to cause you to, yes.
Another story. Macy Gray.
Okay.
Who went to school with us.
Okay.
It was the summer of '91, and 4 of us were staying off campus housing. And she called the house. She was like, I picked up the phone. She's like, "You want to get into production, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "All right, come to such and such, be there at such and such." And I went there, and this is before Google and internet. I needed the Thomas guide. They gave me a truck, They were like, pick this up, pick that up, pick that up. I was getting chairs and camera equipment, you know, probably $1 million of equipment that they knew me. They didn't know me from Adam. And I was there, and the next day they shot. And I guess I had dry humor that day, and the director took a liking to it. And he was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know why. Again, whimsical. I was like, I think I want to edit. And he hooked me up with Dan Leventhal, who is one of the top editors in the industry. He did Iron Man. He did 3 of the Iron Mans. He did Very Bad Things. He did Elf. He's done a lot of resumes. Awesome. And started out editing in his friend's den. He got an office. Back then, when you edited, you needed a room full of equipment to edit. So they would, when I got jobs, they would have to pay me, but have to pay for the equipment separately. And so it became financially beneficial to him and me. We grew until we were penthouse, top floor, the biggest building in Hollywood on Sunset and Vine. And we were kind of rock stars for a little bit. Those were good times.
I love it. So I don't even know what to say. So let me explain one thing to our viewers. A Thomas Guide was so I moved to LA in I visited LA in 93, at the end of 93, after I had graduated college and everything. And I actually moved there in January of 94. And I actually missed the earthquake because I had rented my apartment, and Faith had gotten me an apartment in the jungle, which is in the hood, for those of you who don't know. And I had gone to St. Louis for that weekend, and I missed the earthquake. And then
a lot of people left.
I just missed it. So thank goodness I missed it, because that was a defining moment. Had I been there, I probably would have left and never come back. So then I came back, the freeways were ruined, all this kind of stuff. And it was like, okay, here I am, I'm in LA. And so the Thomas Guide was like almost like a phone book, for those of you who know what a phone book is. It was a mapping system, and it was really thick. And you had to use that in order to figure out where to go in LA. So everybody was like, that's all. Because like he said, we didn't have anything electronic. So I think that's really fantastic. And so I just want you all to know that you can look up Thomas Guide. The other thing is that this story is just so almost random, and at the same time, wasn't it meant to be? And that's how life in Los Angeles was for us back then. It was just like you knew somebody who knew somebody, and then we just knew each other, and then that was it. And I think when it comes to friendships and it comes to life and opportunities, obviously your teacher saw something in you when you were 9 years old, and your soon-to-be partner saw something. Or who was the person who introduced you to John? To Leventhal.
John Speaks, who was a director at that time. He actually ended up years later, by the time we got to the Penthouse, he was doing graphics. Now he owns a restaurant in LA, Hyperion Pub. So we've been family for ever since. But yeah, I mean, you know, he passed me off to Dan, so I was kind of not in touch with him as much for a few years, and then he kind of came back, and yeah, we're a big family.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm so excited. Before we go, I would like you to answer, based on your experience and where you are in life today, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to a young person wanting to get into the creative arts field today, in today's world?
One thing my old roommate said to me a long time ago, and there's different iterations, but it still applies. Who you know gets you there, what you know keeps you there. It's not
who you know gets you there, what you know keeps you there.
Yeah, it's not just one or the other.
Yeah.
they go hand in hand. So if you just take advantage of connections to get somewhere, but then don't acquire the knowledge or skills or whatever to be exceptional at it, then, you know, you might miss opportunities, or you may not be around as long. They both go together. What else was I gonna say? That's the big one. School and other things are about taking advantage of your best options. You're not, school isn't so much like like, to me, college is almost a racket now because of how much they charge. And, you know, I have an account for my daughter for when she graduates from high school. If at the time college isn't the best option, then she won't go.
Yes.
But if it is, that, like, I want her to get straight A's so that she has the option to take advantage of whatever the best opportunity that presents itself.
Fantastic. Okay, and then the last piece of advice, especially for someone who wants to get into the creative arts and maybe they know school is not necessarily for them.
Who wants to get, because those two apply. The first one is a big one for creative arts. So the people who do best that I've worked with continuously or whatever, and even those that I haven't worked with, know what they like. And that sounds simpler than it actually is. You know, you can set up something and put it together and be like, well, how does that look? It looks okay. We'll shoot it. No, it shouldn't look okay. It should look great. You should be blown away when you look at it. It should be exactly what you should have in your mind, what you're attempting to accomplish. And you should very distinctly know what it is you want to present and what you don't want to present to be successful.
Very good. Thank you so much. And you talked about other people's accolades, but can you tell us 3 projects that just name them as we're wrapping up here? 3 projects that you worked on, whether they were videos or movies, so that we'll know that you were editing.
Well, I mean, I've done a lot.
Do you not want to tell us? Are you going to keep?
No. I mean, go to tdavidbenz.com. You can look at my website. Snoop, Drop It Like It's Hot. Jay-Z, The Rock Boys, Beyonce, Me, Myself, and I. A lot of the early Destiny's Child videos.
Yes.
I had a good run with Master P, Make You Say on all of those when he blew up.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. I just, you know, you're being very humble, and I just want people to know that I'm having the honor and the opportunity to interview greatness. I am so pleased, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your schedule to share this. One of my goals in talking about defining moments is that I want men, especially young men, to be able to look at these videos and be able to say, hey, I can see myself in him. And just everything that you said about your life from Miami to New York to LA to everything, it is definitely inspirational. And I just want to encourage anybody who watches, if T Dave can do it, maybe you can too.
You're too kind.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we go?
No, I think I got it in.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Take care.